Okay, we're at Woodhaven High School and we have kids piling in. We're having them take the QR code to do a survey about their before and after awareness of fentanyl, and we'll get started. But this video is started.
Okay guys, we're almost ready to get rocking. Don't worry, we're not started yet. One last reminder, if you can take this QR code, you might help save a life. Because we want to know your before awareness of fentanyl and after. So if you have your phone, please get it out. And thank you so much. Take it to the stop page. Okay, I guess we're going to get started. Thank you so much for coming in. There's a couple stragglers. Thank you, Mr. Vesperman, for having us. And we're thrilled to be here. It's a real privilege to talk to kids. I'm here on a sad mission. A really sad mission. I'm a Michigander, and I happen to lose my son. Excuse me. Sorry. Are we all set? Let me just ask one thing of you. This is a very difficult presentation for us to do. It's very emotional for us. So I ask that you give us your full attention and your respect during the next 45 minutes. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Like I said, I lost my son to this. So, Mike, who just spoke, lost his son Brian to this. Jack lost his brother Drew to this. Amber lost her sister. And we have a special agent in the house, DEA's Brian McNeil, father of one of your classmates. Hey, my vote for homecoming queen. Anyway, we're going to get rocking here, okay? And I'm going to turn this over to Mike, and thank you for your attention. To talk to high school kids is the biggest privilege in the world. Most people don't get to do it. So to be entrusted with an opportunity to get you some information, we believe you're not only going to be saved from ever falling for this that our kids died from, but you'll also be an ambassador to go out and save others. You're in a position to do that. Thank you so much. Here's Mike Gillette. Okay, thank you. One housekeeping tip. This may be emotional for some of you, it may be triggering. So if at any time you're feeling overwhelmed, please feel free to leave the auditorium. So I start every presentation saying the same thing. You're going to roll your eyes. You're going to say, okay, Boomer, I'm good with that. But I truly believe that the next 45 minutes could be the most important 45 minutes of your school year. And I hope at the end of this that you will agree with me on that. So I'm going to throw a number out. I'm guessing in this auditorium maybe 400 or 500 people, maybe more. Let me share another number with you. Okay, it's a big number. And that's every single day, 365 days of the year. That would wipe out everybody in this room in a matter of days. My name is Michael Gillette, and on January 27th, 2022, my wife and I found my oldest son, Brian, dead on his bedroom floor. Brian died of fentanyl poisoning. This is not unique to my family. It's not unique to Amber's family, Jack, Greg's family. We lose almost 80,000 people a year to drug overdoses, and the majority of those are because of fentanyl poisoning. So I've met with hundreds of parents like myself who have lost their child, and we all agree on one thing, and that's awareness is our number one weapon. So that's what we're here for today. We're here to bring awareness to you about the dangers of fentanyl poisoning so that you don't make the same mistake that my son made. So who are we? Fentanyl Fathers is a group of bereaved parents. Each one of us have lost a child to fentanyl poisoning. We have one parent who lost both of his boys same day, celebrating high school graduation. So let that sink in. Something you should also understand, this age group right here, you people sitting in this auditorium, you are the fastest growing age group to be impacted by this drug. So don't think that this is not something that's going to cross your path, because it very likely will. Why do we do this? I lost my son to fentanyl poisoning. This is how I honor him. This is my mission. But I really do it for everybody in this room. I don't know any of you. But what I do know is you all have hopes and ambitions and plans, much like my son had. And I'm here to tell you that can end with one bad decision. So let's get started.
Since I graduated high school in 2014, I've had the great honor of directing a number of documentary films about drugs and drug addiction. In the beginning of summer in 2020, I came across this article. A 14-year-old kid from a town I grew up in had died from what appeared to be a drug overdose. He's a smart, funny guy who, like many kids, was struggling with some anxiety issues and decided that he would turn to drugs to see if he could help himself with that. What happened was he went and bought this pill, this Oxycontin pill, from a guy he had known, because he thought that pill might ease the pain of what he was going through mentally. Well, he didn't know it, but that Oxycontin pill wasn't a real Oxycontin pill. It was a fake pill. It looked just like the pill that he wanted to try, but instead of Oxycontin, it was made with fentanyl, a synthetic opioid known to be 50 to 100 times the strength of morphine. That one pill he took that night killed him almost instantly, and his mom found him dead in his bedroom the next morning. So then I go back to Google and I type in fentanyl deaths. I hit search, and then it all made sense. I saw another kid, and I saw high school students, college students, young adults, all recent, all over the country, all dead from fentanyl. And so I'm looking at that and I'm saying, these aren't just normal overdose deaths. These people think they're taking one drug, and turns out they're being killed. Why have we not heard about this?
I gotta be at work at around 4, so at 3 o'clock, I'm trying to wake him up. I said, hey Garrett, wake up, I'm gonna take you to work, on my way to work. And I walked out. The kids, we have a total of 8 kids. Yeah, so we have a big family. And so they go in there trying to wake them up and everything, and they come back out, and they come get me, and they say, hey, Garrett's messing with us, he won't wake up. And I go, hey man, quit messing with your siblings and get up, so I can take you to work, quit playing around. And as soon as I put my hand on him, I knew. I just knew. I felt it.
It's a drug 50 times more potent than heroin. We're talking about the synthetic opioid fentanyl.
So most people haven't heard of this because we haven't been talking about it. As a mom of a kid that died just wanting to experiment, I wish I could just shake you and tell you and make it real for you. But I don't know how to do that. I won't be there when you're faced with these decisions. I know that if you knew the effects of his passing, it would crush him. Alex had no intentions of me seeing him lying on a stainless steel table covered with a sheet with only his head showing.
This would be how much cocaine somebody would have to ingest to kill them. This is the approximate number of prescription pills one would have to ingest to kill them. This is the amount of heroin the average person would have to ingest to kill them. This much fentanyl would kill you and I if we split it. They put fentanyl in cocaine. They put fentanyl in heroin. They put fentanyl, as we already know and talked about, into counterfeit pills. It's odorless, it's tasteless, you don't know it's there. And when you find out it's there, it's too late. You won't even know it. You'll be dead.
Dealers are using social media to show off what they've got, infiltrating feeds of ever younger teens curious about this flashy lifestyle. With more addicts and overdoses by the day, they've got drivers on demand delivering any drug to your door 24/7.
When Andron was 15, he did have a fentanyl poisoning where he was had to be resuscitated. He was in a coma for a couple of days, and he had to learn to walk and talk and everything again because him and his friends decided to try a Percocet.
He took a Percocet that he didn't know had fentanyl in it, and February 11th, I got a call that he wasn't breathing, and all I remember is from that screaming, if they let me hug him, he'll come back to life.
Of course, I'm deployed. I worked every day but Sunday. So I worked in a bunker actually, so no cell phone, no Wi-Fi coverage. So I noticed when I went to the chow hall, my phone started going off like crazy. I'm getting all these messages, and I'm not understanding what's going on. Like, they're all just saying, you need to call quick, you need to get in. From my wife was saying, hey, you've got to get home. But none of them were very clear on what was going on. And I think the first one that came through that was kind of explaining to me what was going on was the one from my 11-year-old son, Noah. And it simply just said, Dad, brain's dead.
About 8 o'clock in the morning, when I walked into his room, he was in a lying position facing up against the headboard with his hands over his chest. And I saw his eyes. He had a little blue on top of his lips. I screamed at the very top of my lungs. Daniel! Daniel! We called the paramedics. They carried him down the stairs and put him on the first floor. Started doing chest compressions. And then they took him to Los Angeles Children's Hospital where we were put in a waiting room. And later on that evening, a team of doctors came in. And they said that your boy is just a shell of a boy that he was before. He's not coming back.
He was supposed to graduate from high school this year. If you love yourself, you respect yourself, you love life, you have a choice. Because it is between life or death. This is no joke. You can and will die.
If you know something, definitely say something, because I knew that he had taken Percocet like 2 weeks before he passed, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want him to like be mad at me, and I didn't want him to hate me or like just anything. So I just kept it to myself. I didn't want to say anything, but all it takes is one pill, and I should have said something.
Don't trust anyone. It's first thing. Don't let your guard down. And just one pill can kill, obviously.
I wish somebody had sat me down and had this talk with me about what fentanyl does to people.
I didn't get that chance. You do.
People just so commonly think that it will not happen to them. I'm talking about great people, nice people, cool people, intelligent people with big plans for the future, big potential. Gone because of one choice. One choice is all it takes. If you don't believe that, I guarantee you, at this point, there was someone very similar to you who wished they could be here right now to look into the camera and look into your eyes and say, don't do it. Please don't do it. Please, I wish I wouldn't have done it. Don't do it. Don't risk your life. So my question for you is, are you going to listen? Or will it be your family and your friends holding your picture, wishing they could have been there to tell you?
So that video is a lot to take in, I know. Every time I watch it hundreds of times, giving these presentations, and each time it affects me, just as it is right now. My name is Amber Johnson. This is my sister, Erica Johnson. She passed from a fentanyl poisoning, as we had just watched on the video. My sister was like every one of you that are out here in the audience today. She was kind, caring, athletic. She used to play sports in high school. We used to figure skate. What you don't see in this video, or excuse me, this picture though, my sister and I grew up in a household with an alcoholic father. She struggled with anxiety, depression. In high school, I know there's tons of peer pressure, even back in the day with me, even now more so today with everybody. She turned to prescription medication to help with her anxiety and her depression through her years. Always had prescription medications taken by a prescribed doctor, which helped in the situations. However, over the years, she ended up graduating high school, had a son, and kind of fell out of getting her prescription medications. So she ended up having more issues with anxiety and depression as she became a little bit older, and decided one day to go out on the street and get a prescription, or excuse me, not a prescription, a Percocet out on the street from somebody that wasn't prescribed. She passed away in August 19th, 2021 from taking one pill. I really wish my sister knew, because back then she didn't know, and I didn't know the effects of fentanyl. Even though fentanyl existed, I didn't know the effects that it could have. One pill can kill, as the video said, and that one pill my sister took, which she thought was going to help with her anxiety and depression, killed her. She died on the floor a hotel room by herself. She was pronounced dead at the scene. I didn't get a call until a week later with my sister being in the morgue by herself because nobody could identify her. She had no identification on her. So my message to you is anything that you take, please ensure that it's prescribed by your doctor. You can go out on the street, I know on social media, you can buy pills now. Please don't do that. That one pill you think might be helping you with your anxiety and depression could kill you. There are many resources out there that can help with anxiety, depression. You have school counselors, you have people, adults that can talk to. I urge you to please talk to those individuals to get proper resources and proper care and not go for that one pill, because that one pill could kill you. And I don't want that to happen to you or any of your families. It was devastating to me and everybody up here. So thank you for listening to me today, and I do hope that you take this message in and spread it to your friends and your family that please don't do this and take that one pill because it could kill you.
That was pretty special. Thanks a ton, Amber. This is my son, Drew. He died on April 3rd, 2013. And whoever said time heals was a liar. Just this morning, I went down the wormhole of grief where I came across one of his blogs, and he mentioned me twice. It was just 2 days after that picture on the right was taken. He wrote about his future, his dreams, everything he wanted to do, and how he feared mediocrity. He wanted to be special. And, this maybe is his fulfillment of his dream of what we're doing here. Drew was a model. He was a state champion. He was a freshman swimmer in high school. He was a MVP of his tennis team. He had it going on, but he was also the nicest guy. Like if somebody was eating alone at the lunch table, he would go up and sit with that person. He'd never let somebody feel left out or alone. And he got a sports injury when he was wrestling with a roommate, and he got put on Percocet, and the problem is he liked it. And once you get hooked on opioids, he called me one day and he said, I got some bad news for you. I said, what? He goes, they're telling me I have a 2% chance of beating this. I'm like, you better be in the 2%. Personally, I was in a car accident. I was put on Percocet, and I had to really taper off of it, but it was from a doctor. Anyway, he sought it out illicitly. He became an addict, and then he got clean. He came to his brother Jack and our family, and he got clean. He was living great life, independent in Florida, and he relapsed at a rave. He was given a Molly, and he called Jack and says, I need to talk to you, man. I screwed up. Can you get down here? Jack says, yeah, I'll be right down after finals. And Drew said, that's not going to be soon enough. Drew is dead the next day. He wasn't able to make it. I got a call from Jack. He's like, Dad, are you sitting down? Are you sitting down? It was 12:30 at night. I said, no, I'm sleeping. What's going on? He goes, I need you to be sitting down right now. I sat up in bed, and he said, Drew's dead. And that marked a before and after period in my life. I was happy as a clam before that. I was really sad after for a long time. I was depressed, and I was a mess. I was a mess. I went out to Laguna Beach, California, and got a place and sat on the beach for 6 months. I was just gone. But being able to come and talk to you guys about this, making sure this doesn't happen to you, that it's not the illicit drug supply is poisoned with fentanyl, to let you know that. I know that there's a percentage of kids that probably might have thought about experimenting. They won't after today. We're going to give you some information about that. Next slide. This is Drew. This is a gal named Rain. Thank you for being.
Actually, not really in very serious cases, because even a small amount of fentanyl can kill you, and it's very, very scary. And this is an epidemic killing millions of people in teens. It's a growing problem in the United States.
What I was going to say is thank you for sticking with us. The timing is a little off in terms of our projection here. You guys are getting the idea. So Rain is teaching freshman class about fentanyl awareness, something we're going to ask you guys to do. Now this is Rain 1 month later. She shot that on April 27th. 1 month later, Rain was dead. How did she die? She died from fentanyl poisoning. She was given a Xanax at a pool. She whipped out her cell phone and said, what does a real Xanax look like? It matched what was in her hand. The DEA will tell you, you can't tell the difference. We have a slide for that. And she died. Her mom's the saddest person I know. Next slide. So this is just to show you what a big problem this is. If you take drunk driving from 2022, 2023 was the last year that was available to us. Childhood cancer deaths, which is about the same last year, 1,650. Vietnam War deaths, 58,220. Add all these famous deaths up, it's less than 1 year's worth of overdoses, and 70% plus is driven by fentanyl poisoning. So you can see why it's a big problem. Just to put that in perspective, it's a sold out Detroit Tiger game and a sold out Piston game. Next slide. These are the famous poster children of fentanyl. Prince died on an elevator, ironically, because he had a line about that, don't let the elevator break you down. But Mac Miller, Angus Cloud, there are hundreds of celebrities that have died from this. Money and fame do nothing for you. It's an equal opportunity killer. Next slide. And we're going to have Jack take over.
Thank you guys, and thank you for your respect for all of our presenters up here. Like was mentioned, this can be a difficult topic for them, so we appreciate that. We don't just share our stories, though, to be it down around your Friday or going into your spring break. We do want to empower you guys by getting awareness about fentanyl and counterfeit pills, but then also knowing how to recognize and respond to a drug overdose so that you guys can help us combat this epidemic that's plaguing our nation. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How many of you have heard of naloxone before? Some of you. How about Narcan? More of you. So you're going to hear me use the terms interchangeably during the presentation. Narcan is essentially the brand name of the medication naloxone, but both have the same effect to reverse an opioid overdose. It's its sole purpose. So we're going to tell you guys about that, how to recognize and respond to an overdose, and then also where you can get this medication, life-saving medication, in your communities and connect you with important community resources. So just a quick look at the numbers. Back in 1999, America was losing less than 20,000 people to drug overdose. It reached a peak in 2022, 2023. We were losing 110,000 Americans to drug overdose. The year I lost my brother in 2013, it was about 33,000 Americans. But this is an epidemic which has been on the rise over and over and over for decades. We're just starting to see those numbers come down, but it's still more than we lost in a 10-year war, to put it into perspective. It's a lot of people we're losing. And why are we talking to you all? The adolescent population, specifically between the ages of 10 and 19, had over a doubling in overdose fatalities in a 2-year period between 2019 and 2021. Only about a third of those had any substance use history or opioid use history, yet 90% of them were dying from opioids, which tells us that a lot of these people were either first-time users or just experimenting with drugs for the first time or on a few occasions. About 2/3 of those deaths occurred with a bystander present, meaning a parent or a loved one, a sibling, in the same building as the person was actively overdosing in the next room. And a conclusion of this study that was done out of the CDC highlighting all these metrics said that this was in large part because there was no suspicion of any drug use going on in the home. We hear this over and over by a lot of parents and family members who contact our organization that they had no idea it was a typical night at home when they found their deceased loved one. So, and about a quarter of these, or 1 in 4, had evidence of counterfeit pill use. So we really want you guys to know about counterfeit pills. These are pills that are being mass produced by criminal drug networks. They often contain fentanyl or methamphetamine, and they're being bought and sold anywhere that people buy and sell things. Snapchat, WhatsApp, social media. It's no longer you have to know a person to get something. Now, youth are connecting with drug dealers online or with other people online that they're meeting, and they're getting a hold of these counterfeit pills. There was actually a 13-year-old boy, to give you an example, in Colorado who he went through a wisdom tooth extraction. He was given a 2-day course of Percocet by his dentist. He ran out of that prescription, and he was playing video games with a friend online. He had his video game headset on. He said, "I'm still experiencing some tooth pain, and I ran out of my Percocet prescription." His friend said, "Oh, I've got some Percocet." The friend Ubered that Percocet to the boy's door. The boy ran down with his video game headset on, picked up the Uber delivery at his front door with his parents in the living room downstairs, ran back upstairs. His parents found him dead in his beanbag chair 2 hours later. So this is just one example of many that are occurring and how this is so easily accessible and affecting our youth. So if there's one message that you gather from today's presentation, like Amber already pointed out, you cannot trust a pill that you do not get from a doctor or a licensed pharmacist in this country as being real, because many of them are fake. About 29% now of the pills that are being seized and tested by our DEA labs in this country contain a deadly dose of fentanyl. And this is what a deadly dose looks like. It's about 2 milligrams by comparison, fits on the tip of a pencil. There are about 2,000 milligrams of sugar in one of those little table sugar packets that you see at restaurants. So you can imagine how much of this substance can be packed into just one pill. These are some examples of our counterfeit pills being seized. So the authentic versions are going to be on your left-hand side, the fakes are going to be on the right. There is no way to visually tell if a pill is real or fake. So you just cannot trust it unless it is from a prescription bottle that has your name on it, that's been prescribed by your doctor. The criminal drug networks who are mass producing this stuff are using the exact same pill dyes and pill presses that real pharmaceutical companies are using. And drug dealers are preying on our brand awareness. So we trust brands that we consume regularly, like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, name your favorite clothing brand, Nike, Air Jordans, whatever. In the pharmaceutical industry, those are names like oxycodone, Xanax, Adderall, things that somebody may be prescribed for pain after a surgery, or anxiety, or ADHD. There's really no way to tell any differences. The middle example, you guys can see some differences. What are some differences you guys notice? Color is different. The size is a little bit different. The numbers or the markings. But even these sorts of things can be explained away by a drug dealer. Like, I could only get the yellow ones this time. Or the pharmaceutical manufacturer changed. Or this is just the generic version of the version that you're used to seeing. So if we don't know that these pills are being stuffed with just fentanyl and pill filler being sold on the streets, and we're not asking the right questions, then you can see how easily somebody could be duped into taking one of these. Fentanyl is 50 to 100 times stronger than any other substance out there. It's being put into anything that really holds a street value to turn profit, and it's also being added to our street drug supply, like cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin. Next, we'll kind of teach you guys on what is an opioid overdose, how are people passing away from fentanyl. Fentanyl is an opioid. And we all have these opioid receptors, these little orange things on the screen in our brain. When we take an opioid or we're given an opioid after a surgery or we break a bone, those opioids will bind to those receptors in our brain and block the signal for pain from our brain to the site of injury. But when we take too much, in the case of an overdose or a poisoning, those receptor sites get flooded with opioids and not only block the signal for pain, but they also block the signal for breath. So it affects our body's ability to breathe, and that's how people die from fentanyl poisoning or overdose. It often looks like a suffocation or a drowning. But luckily we have naloxone, or Narcan, which its sole purpose is it actually has a stronger attraction for those opioid receptor sites than actual opioids. So when the brain sees those naloxone molecules floating around, it'll release the opioids that are bound to it and grab onto the naloxone molecule, creating a protective barrier which allows those signals for breathing to resume and for the person to take breath. It's important to note that it only lasts in the body for about 30 to 90 minutes. This is an important window because how long do you guys think opioids last in the body? They can last for hours. Some of them can last for days. Some have half-lives up to 55 hours or 72 hours. Most of them have a half-life of 4 hours. So if we give this medication, we should always try and get more on the way. It's commonly carried by EMS and first responders. So it's important to always call 911 if we give this medication so the person can be medically observed. It's effective on any opioid class listed on the screen. Any opioid prescribed by a doctor or found on the street illicitly, like illicit fentanyl or heroin. This is gonna reverse the effects of all those opioids. It's not gonna have any effect on alcohol. It'll have a neutral or no effect if an opioid is not present. It's going to reverse that respiratory depression that we talked about earlier. This is commonly used by EMS and first responders in the field. It's given multiple times in the field. You cannot overdose on naloxone, and it's non-addictive. It's going to have no psychoactive effects, and there will be no effect on the individual if an opioid is not present. Now this is important because you do not need to be a medical professional to give this medication. If you suspect that a person may be using opioids or is experiencing an overdose, if you give this medication and they are not on opioids, it will have no harmful effect on the individual, or it'll have a neutral effect. It's safe to give to an infant, an elderly person, you, me, a dog who may have gotten into something that they shouldn't have. So it's going to have a neutral or no effect unless an opioid is present. Signs and symptoms of opioid use versus overdose. So opioid use, these are some symptoms that my brother was experiencing as he went into his sober living home that he passed. He was nodding out. His friends said that he was like falling asleep or sleeping out of it, kind of slurring his speech, and his pupils were really small. These are all signs of opioid use headed towards overdose. Now the differentiator is the person using opioids is still going to respond to their name or if you shake their shoulder. Versus overdose, it will be unconscious or non-responsive. Now some of these can be explained away, maybe a person is sleepy or drowsy. But one of the hallmark signs of opioid use is pinpoint pupils. It's normal for our pupils to react to light when we go into the bright outdoors. Our pupils are going to constrict to protect the back of the eye from too much light exposure. When we're in a dark movie theater, our pupils are going to dilate to allow us to see. But when we're on an opioid, our pupils are going to get small and they're going to stay small no matter what the light exposure. Now with an overdose, you're also going to see those pinpoint pupils, but now the person's not going to be responsive. Because opioids affect the breathing center in the brain, you're going to see no breathing or shallow breathing. And because of the lack of oxygen from no breathing, you're going to see skin discoloration. In the thinner skin areas, like your fingernails or your lips, that's going to be bluish, purplish tint. In lighter skin folks, in darker skin folks, it's going to be a gray or ashen appearance. And they may also have a pale or clammy face. You may also notice some snoring or gurgling sounds that the person is experiencing. These are all signs of overdose. If you ever see these, you're going to want to take 5 steps to save a life. The first step is you're going to want to shake and shout. Are they overdosing? If you shake their shoulder, shout their name, hey, are you okay? And the person's not responsive, what do you think we're going to do? We're going to call 911. That's right. A few reasons for this. 911, that dispatcher is going to be able to walk us through other life-saving measures to help that person stay alive. They're also going to send more naloxone to the site where the person may be overdosing. And this also enacts the Good Samaritan Law. How many of you have heard of the Good Samaritan Law? A lot of you, that's great. So the Good Samaritan Law protects us from being sued for performing life-saving measures for someone who may be overdosing or dying in the field. If you're not a medical professional, you're giving chest compressions, crack a person's rib, you cannot be sued for trying to do everything in your power to help that person stay alive. It also protects us from minor drug possession and drug paraphernalia charges in the state of Michigan. So if we are suspecting that somebody may be overdosing and we were using illegal substances with that person, first responders are going to arrive on scene. They're going to confiscate the drugs. This pertains to alcohol and marijuana as well. So if we're at a party where those substances are being consumed by others and we call 911, they're going to show up, confiscate the drugs, help the person overdosing. I will not be held liable or prosecuted for the minor drug possession or drug paraphernalia, and this also applies for the individual who is the victim of the overdose. So we should not hesitate to call 911. This law was put into effect to prioritize saving lives over criminalization. Next, we're going to take out our first dose of nasal naloxone. It comes in a blister pack like this. Super simple to use. You just peel off the back, let the device fall into your hands, and then you're going to put the applicator in the person's nostril. And then just push the plunger. You're going to feel that full dose of the medication dispensed in the person's nostril. Wait 2 to 3 minutes. See if the person starts breathing again. If they are breathing, you wait for first responders to arrive on scene. Your job is done. If they're not breathing, that dispatcher on the phone is going to walk you through how to give CPR or rescue breaths to keep that individual alive. After 2 to 3 minutes, that medication should have been absorbed and rushed up to the brain and have an effect by then. So if it's not having an effect, you're going to take out a second dose, nasal naloxone. Do the exact same thing you did the first time, except now in the opposite nostril, just in case there was a blockage or an obstruction the first time that you gave the medication. When the person starts coming to, place them on their side and wait for help to arrive. Tell them they've had a medical event, you gave them some medication, and help is on the way. And then just give them space. So next, some community resources. We have these Save a Life stations in Oakland County, in Wayne County, and elsewhere in Michigan. We've got naloxone vending machines. You can go on narcannow.us and find the nearest location to you of where you can access Narcan. These stations are refilled on a weekly basis, so super simple to access and take as much resources as you want. These are restocked by amazing organizations and coalitions doing this work in Michigan. Also be sure to check out the Students Against Destructive Decisions here at your school, who are doing great work at educating people about the dangers of substances and destructive decisions. And next, I will pass it back over to my dad to tell you about Victoria's Voice.
Thanks, guys. We've just got a couple minutes left. We're still going to hear from Mike about Brian, and if we have any time, we'll have some questions. This is a gal who had it all. Her name was Victoria. She was wealthy, but she struggled with anxiety and depression. Inside a journal, she wrote her entire thought process throughout her high school career. She ended up dying. I'm going to make this book available to you. So, per Amber's point, if you're struggling from anxiety and depression, or if you're just fascinated by reading somebody's journal, you can get kind of a lowdown on it. Her best friend didn't know she was sick. She just said, what if I don't survive? And I'm going to ship boxes, and I ship them in boxes of 32 to your principal. Show of hands who might be interested in getting free one of those. Okay, I'll ship in a couple boxes. I'll ship in 2 boxes to you. Thank you. I'll make sure it's there, Batman. My Batman friend in the middle. Hi. So anyway, this gal was boxed out of Michigan, and then she went from being boxed out to being paid to go to Michigan. I'll show you why.
Your reason for joining SAFE may be sitting next to you right now. So if you're interested in helping us spread awareness, please DM us on Instagram or scan this QR code so that we can keep our generation safe.
She got a scholarship to Michigan because she started SAFE, Students Advocating Fentanyl Education. What can you do at a SAFE club? Well, you tell them where the Narcan is. Watch this. Show them how to spray it. You're done. Saved a life. The other thing you can do, and this is very important, I'm encouraging you to do this today. Go to fentanylfathers.org and download this book. My son Drew started writing it. Kids from SAFE finished it. It's 1001 Great Comebacks to Peer Pressure. That's at the bottom of fentanylfathers.org. If you download this book, you'll be able to kick people in the teeth verbally with zingers that make them feel like the moron and idiot they are for trying to make you do drugs. which I think is a great weapon to have. Now we're going to hear about Brian July.
This is my son, Brian. Brian was an amazing individual. He was really smart. He was very outgoing. He would often tell me that music was his religion, and he knew more about music than anyone I've ever met. So we spent a great deal of time listening to music, going to concerts, exploring new genres of music. When Brian passed, we had a memorial, and I was amazed at how many people came up to me and said, Brian was that guy. He was the guy you could call any time of the day, any time of the night, and he would be there for you. He would listen. He would talk with you. We had a memorial for Brian, and a woman came up to me and said that she was contemplating suicide. And she called Brian at 3 in the morning, and he spent hours with her on the phone, talking with her and listening. She threw her arms around me and said, your son saved my life. I wish I could have saved his. But she wasn't able to do that. And I wasn't able to do that either. So I've done well over 100 of these presentations. And I always pay very close attention to the students. Are they listening? Are we connecting with them? And the one thing I know for sure is the majority of you sitting here right now are thinking, this is never going to happen to me. This only happens to other people. So I want to tell you a true story about Brian. Brian lost a good friend to fentanyl poisoning, and he was really taken back by this. He was very upset, and he went to his friend's memorial. And when he came home, he was visibly upset. So my wife and I decided to give him some space, give him some time, and don't talk to him. But the next morning, we sat down with him and we talked about it. And my wife said to him, don't let this be your story, Brian. And Brian said, this will never happen to me. I'm way too smart for this. And then he looked at my wife and said, Mom, don't worry, I'm Superman. My son was Superman. He died 10 days later. Nobody in this room is Superman. Nobody in this room is exempt from what this drug can do to you. So we've talked a lot about you, how we can prepare you to make the right decision. But I want to talk about someone else. I want to talk about your family. I want to talk about your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, maybe even somebody sitting in this room with you right now. My last image of my son was holding his body on his bedroom floor. His body was cold. There was no light in it. And in the background, all I could hear is my wife wailing and screaming after realizing that she just lost her firstborn son. I see that image every day. It will never go away. That's the life that I'm stuck with. You have no idea of the pain and the guilt and the regret that we live with. Why didn't I save my son? Did I always say the right thing to him? Did I tell him I loved him enough? Well, it's too late for me. That's past. So I'm hoping that you see this as the most important part of your school year. I hope that you go home tonight and have this conversation at the dinner table. Talk to your parents, talk to your brothers and sisters. Talk to your friends who aren't here and make sure that they understand what this drug can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We only have a minute left. If you get a chance on the way out, these are provided by Lost Voices of Fentanyl. These are teenagers who died of fentanyl poisoning. Check it out. We ask you to say this with us, not to sound cheesy at the random on stage, but to hear yourself say it, that I'll never try, so I'll never die from fentanyl. We do it to honor our kids, which is fair, right? So I'll lead us in this. I'll never try, so I'll never die from fentanyl. It's pretty darn good, you guys. Now, we have 109, we end at 110. Any quick questions from anybody? Anybody got a question? Oh, yes, sir. Oh, to come in to talk today. Your wonderful principal is the hero, allowed us to come in on this day. I'm going to let Jack answer any other questions.
If you guys have additional questions, I know that we have a minute before the bell.
We're going to dismiss in just a second here, but if you had additional questions, we'll get you a pass. You can go a couple minutes late to $6. So just stick around. We'll answer your questions for you. Let's give them a huge round of applause.